Making headlines. The president reaffirms his unyielding stand against corruption and abuse of power in his administration. The Maldives welcomes the United Nations General Assembly's adoption of the resolution requesting an advisory opinion of the ICJ on the obligations of Israel in relation to the presence and activities of the UN, other international organizations and third states. And the Economic Ministry reveals that the China-Maldives Free Trade Agreement will create new avenues for Maldivian businesses to market and sell their products in China.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hello and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Ridwan Mahmood. Looking into the details, President Dr. Mohammad Muiz reaffirms his unyielding stand against corruption and abuse of power in his administration. Speaking to reporters outside the President's office, President Muiz denied receiving a letter from the former chairman of the Housing Development Corporation (HDC), Ahmad Zuhur, detailing the widespread corruption and abuse of power inside the corporation. Some local media reports claim that Zuhur had detailed multiple instances of corruption and abuse of power taking place inside HDC in a letter sent to the president shortly before he was dismissed from the chairman's post. The president stated that if he had received a letter as claimed, he would have taken immediate action. He also added that the government will not hesitate to stop any act of corruption or abuse of power. President Muiz pointed out that the entire HDC's board, along with several high-level officials, have been suspended amid an extensive investigation by the Maldives Police Service and the Anti-Corruption Commission. He stressed that he don't make appointments for them to steal, to commit corruption or do illegal activities, and that the appointments are made to serve the people with honesty and integrity. He reiterated that unlike previous governments, corruption in any way or form will not be tolerated by this administration. President Muiz also urged the people and public servants to cooperate and assist in his efforts to eradicate corruption from the Maldives. Maldives welcomes the United Nations General Assembly's adoption of the resolution requesting an advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice (ICJ) on the obligations of Israel in relation to the presence and activities of the United Nations, other international organizations and third states. The resolution seeking the advisory opinion from the UN's top court was brought by Norway and co-sponsored by the Maldives, Egypt, Jordan, Qatar and Saudi Arabia, among others. It won backing from 137 countries, while 12 objected and 22 abstained. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs in a statement said the Maldives believes that this is a crucial step forward to uphold the work and mission of the United Nations, humanitarian organizations, and of third states to protect and preserve the humanitarian operations in the occupied Palestinian territory. The statement said that the Maldives appreciate the overwhelming support for this resolution and regards the support as a testament to the commitment to realize a sovereign and independent Palestinian state based on the pre-1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. Israel, which has tightly restricted aid going into the Hamas-ruled territory since the outbreak of the war, often blames the inability of relief organizations to handle and distribute large quantities of aid for the dire humanitarian situation. Despite serious international concerns, Israeli lawmakers have passed laws to bar the UN's Palestinian Aid Agency, UNRWA, from operating in Israel and East Jerusalem, while raising the prospect of similar measures against other aid agencies. The Ministry of Economic Development and Trade highlights that the China-Maldives Free Trade Agreement (FTA) will create new avenues for Maldivian businesses to market and sell their products in China.
The Economic Ministry says that the China-Maldives Free Trade Agreement, which will come into force on January 1st, will create new avenues for Maldivian businesses to market and sell their products in China. The China-Maldives FTA, a treaty aimed at promoting trade and investment between the two countries, was signed in 2014 and approved by the Parliament in 2017. However, its implementation was suspended following a change in the administration in 2018. Since assuming office in November 2023, President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu and his administration have been working towards implementing the FTA. The administration announced earlier that the agreement will officially come into force on January 1st. The Economic Ministry has highlighted that the implementation of the FTA will open many new avenues for small-sized businesses, creative businesses and other manufacturing enterprises. The ministry said that local producers, firms willing to export local products, and those interested in producing re-exportable goods will also benefit from the agreement. According to the ministry, import duties on a wide range of items and resources essential for creative industries will be waived as part of the FTA. These items include 3D printers, label printers, and photography equipment. Jewelry makers will also benefit from the duty exemptions on raw materials. According to the ministry, the fisheries and construction industries are also set to gain from the FTA, with duty waivers on equipment required for these sectors. Duties will also be waived for 296 types of seafood. The agreement will also open opportunities for Maldivian service industry professionals to market and provide their services in China. The Economic Ministry stated that this is a significant opportunity for businesses to offer their services to a country with a population exceeding 1 billion. It described the implementation of the FTA as a move that will open Maldivian businesses to the international market. According to government estimates, China-Maldives trade currently surpasses $700 million annually. The administration anticipates that this trade volume could rise to $1 billion with the implementation of the FTA.
The Ministry of Islamic Affairs officially launches the Sharia principles and standards of zakat collection and distribution, signifying the inaugural documentation and publication of such principles and standards in the Maldives. The newly unveiled principles and standards aim to provide a comprehensive framework for the effective and efficient management of zakat in accordance with Islamic Sharia. The principles were formulated by the Zakat House, which is mandated with various aspects of zakat management, including collection, distribution, investment in Sharia-approved areas, public education, maintenance of a poverty registry, empowerment programs, and the announcement of the Nisab for Zakat al-Mal. In his address, Minister of Islamic Affairs Dr. Muhammad Shahim Ali Said highlighted the rationale behind President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu's decision to establish the Zakat House. He characterized the new principles and standards as the foundational character of the Zakat House, serving as the primary document and policy guide for its operations. Director General of Zakat House, Izzuddin Adnan, expressed gratitude to Dr. Shahim for his support and prioritization of the formulation of the Zakat principles and standards. He added that the implementation of these principles would strengthen the Zakat House work and enable it to undertake additional initiatives. During the ceremony, officials of the Zakat House who played a significant role in formulating the principles and standards were honored with and presented with certificates of appreciation. Prosecutor General P.G. Abbas Sharif requests the Anti-Corruption Commission ACC to conduct a criminal probe into the millions of dollars in settlements approved by the now defunct Settlement Committee during the previous administration. The Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee, in its report into the matter, decided that the settlement agreements signed between 2019 and 2023 are void ab initio and approved all necessary legal actions to invalidate the agreements. The PG noted that the Finance Committee report had accused several high-level officials of the previous government of embezzling state property and funds in clear violation of their constitutional and legally mandated duties while holding a senior position of the state. Prosecutor General's Office, PGO, said that in light of the findings in the Finance Committee report, The PG believes that the accusations warrants a criminal investigation which falls within the mandate of the ACC. Hence, the Prosecutor General on December 17 asked the ACC to launch a criminal investigation. PG Abbas Sharif has also asked the ACC to expedite the investigation, provide regular updates, and consult the PGO on the progress of the investigation. The Parliament on December 12 approved the motion by its Finance Committee to advise the PGO to file charges against former President Ibrahim Mohamed Soleh, former Economic Minister Fayyaz Ismail, and former Minister at the President's Office Ali Shiam, if found complicit from the investigation into the settlement of disputes and disbursement of funds by the Settlement Committee. Prior to the dissolution of the Settlement Committee, decisions were made to compensate various parties to the value of $14.6 million before November 17, 2023. Moreover, the committee is estimated to have decided to grant $64.8 million worth of assets and funds as compensation to various parties. The Attorney General invalidated as many as 9 agreements signed by the Settlement Committee, halting the implementation and disbursements with immediate effect. Several employees of the Housing Development Corporation (HDC) have been dismissed for issuing land recipient letters to individuals who are not entitled to land plots under the Bimvaria scheme. Several employees of the Housing Development Corporation was dismissed for issuing land recipient letters to individuals who are not entitled to land plots under the scheme.
Several employees of the Housing Development Corporation have been dismissed for issuing land recipient letters to individuals who are not entitled to land plots under the Bimvaria scheme. The development was announced by President Dr. Mohamed Muiz during a media interview. Last week, the HDC came under heavy scrutiny after it emerged that land plots had been issued to non-recipients under the Bimvaria scheme. In response, the entire HDC board, with the exception of its chairperson, was suspended, along with the corporation's managing director, Fazul. The allegations around Fazul are particularly controversial as his brother, the now suspended deputy managing director of the Malay Water and Sewerage Company Private Limited, MWSC, Muhammad Fazil Rashid, is directly implicated in the scandal. Fazul has since resigned from the position. In the interview, the President confirmed the dismissal of HDC employees in relation to the Bimvaria scheme corruption. He emphasized the government's commitment to eradicating corruption within the government. PSM News has learned that the number of terminated employees is 15. It is unclear what their positions and responsibilities were at HDC. The accusations against them are also unknown at this time.
Swiss lawmakers called for stricter oversight of the financial sector after investigating the collapse of Credit Suisse, casting an unflattering light on authorities while pinning the blame on the bank's implosion, primarily on its managers. In a long-awaited 569-page report published on December 20th, lawmakers exposed Swiss bureaucracy that is unaccustomed to scrutiny, rebuking regulators for being secretive and mistrustful, and for responding at times supposedly to the crisis that felled the bank in March 2023. Arch rival UBSGS stepped in to buy Credit Suisse for a fraction of its value in a government-orchestrated rescue. In June 2023, Parliament took the unusual step of forming a committee to probe the official response to the Credit Suisse meltdown. Interviews with those involved were held privately. The government has said it will use the findings to inform its plans for reform of the banking sector. The opening lines of a statement accompanying its report, translated from German, says that the committee considers Credit Suisse years of mismanagement to be the cause of the crisis. The committee, known as PUK, chronicled in detail the chaotic final days of the bank and criticized a lack of transparency during months of crisis meetings between finance ministry officials, the central bank and the market regulator, FINMA, urging them to keep written records in future. It further read that the PUK does not see any casual misconduct on the part of the authorities for the Credit Suisse crisis and finds that they prevented a global financial crisis. The unraveling of 167-year-old Credit Suisse, a pillar of the financial establishment and the country's second biggest lender, left Switzerland with just one major international bank, which now holds a balance sheet bigger than the entire economy. The government in April sketched out too big to fail plans to ensure UBS does not go the same way as Credit Suisse, centering chiefly on making the bank hold more capital, but it vowed not to give more specifics until after the PUK report. The committee's conclusions did not offer perspective advice on how the banking sector should be reformed, but the broad sweep of the 30 recommendations and requests directed at the government cleaved closely to those April proposals. President-elect Donald Trump threatened to reassert U.S. control over the Panama Canal, accusing Panama of charging excessive rates to use the Central American Passage, which allows ships to cross between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans.
President-elect Donald Trump threatened to reassert U.S. control over the Panama Canal, accusing Panama of charging excessive rates to use the Central American Passage, which allows ships to cross between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Speaking to a crowd of supporters in Arizona, Trump also said that he would not let the canal fall into the wrong hands, warning of potential Chinese influence on the passage.
When they gave it to Panama, can you believe that? We would never have done it if we thought what's happening now can happen, and we would never, and we will never, ever let it fall into the wrong hands, but it's falling into the wrong hands.
China does not control or administer the canal, but a subsidiary of Hong Kong-based CK Hutchison Holdings has long managed two ports located in the Caribbean and the Pacific entrances to the canal.
When President Jimmy Carter foolishly gave it away for $1. During his term in office, it was solely for Panama to manage and not for China or any other country to manage. You see what's going on there? China.
Trump's comments came hours after he leveled a similar threat against Panama in a post on Truth Social on Saturday night. Trump's comments were exceedingly rare example of a U.S. leader saying he could push a sovereign country to hand over territory. It also underlines an expected shift in U.S. diplomacy under Trump, which has not historically shied away from threatening allies and using bellicose rhetoric when dealing with counterparts. The Panamanian embassy in Washington did not respond to a request for comments. The United States largely built the canal and administered territory surrounding the passage for decades. But the United States and Panama signed a pair of accords in 1977 that paved the way for the canal's return to full Panamanian control. The United States handed over control of the canal in 1999 after a period of joint administration.
Carlo Ancelotti says self-criticism has helped Real Madrid turn around their fortunes going into the winter break.
Carlo Ancelotti said after their 4-2 home win over Sevilla that self-criticism has helped Real Madrid overcome a challenging period and fuel towards Kylian Mbappe's integration into the team. The 26-year-old Frenchman netted the opener and set up another goal as Real beat mid-table Sevilla to move up to second place in La Liga, closing the gap on leaders Atletico Madrid to 1 point going into the winter break. Federico Valverde, Rodrigo and Brahim Diaz were also on target for Real, but it was Mbappe, now with 6 goals in his last 8 games, who led the charge as the victory lifted Madrid to 40 points, 2 clear of third-placed Barcelona. Mbappe had struggled to adjust to the Spanish side after his close season move, experiencing a dip in form and a brief spell on the sidelines. Reigning champions, Madrid struggled to keep pace with their rivals early in the season and were thrashed 4-0 by Barcelona in October. The Italian manager admitted that a lack of attitude and collective effort had been holding back his star-studded side, but introspection has aided the team in finding their rhythm again. The disconnect has stung the most in the Champions League, where the defending champions are 20th after 3 wins and 3 losses, but Ancelotti said a turnaround is on the horizon for Madrid, who have ended their double-winning year on a good note. Ancelotti had insisted before the match that he had confidence in Mbappe's ability to meet the club's high expectations and said that the talisman has proven him right.
Indonesian fans of Squid Game braved the rain to play a real-life adaptation of the show's iconic red light, green light game in Jakarta.
Indonesian Squid Games fans braved the rain to play a real-life adaptation of the show's iconic red light, green light game in Jakarta, part of the streaming service's local publicity efforts before its flagship show's second season. Following cues sung by a life-size robotic Young Hee doll from the show, fans attempted to run down a narrow track past the doll, freezing their movements to avoid elimination every time its head turned around to face them. 30-year-old Squid Game fan Arista Sefriani said that on screen the game looks very tense and that they wanted to see if it would be as tense in real life. The show's worldwide popularity was recently bolstered by a critical approval, with the new season being nominated for Best Television Series in the drama category at the upcoming 2025 Golden Globes Awards ahead of its streaming release on 26 December. Squid Game's first season became Netflix's most-watched series of all time after it released in 2021. The thriller series follows cash-strapped contestants who take part in deadly survival challenges featuring childhood games for a chance to win a fortune.
That's it for now. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant day ahead. Bye-bye.